Sgt Mac and the boy go goose hunting. Sgt Mac was in the lower 48 and his boy is about 10-12 years old, and they decided they needed to go goose hunting. So they got all the stuff. They got a boat, they borrowed a dog, and they got the guns. The boy had a 20 gauge pump, 3-shot limit. Dad had a 12 gauge pump, 3-shot limit. And they threw in Grandpa's double barrel 10 gauge. And they drove out to the federal land. They rented a blind. They got everything set up. The geese came in, and the boy, being the youngest, he stood up, he took his shots, bang, bang, bang. Missed all 3 times. Dad stood up, took his shots, bang, bang. 2 shots, 2 geese. Dog goes out to get him, and just as Dad is setting his gun down, he hears this huge explosion behind him. Now he turns around and looks, and there's nothing there. He looks in the bottom of the pit, and there's the boy going, eh, eh, eh. And all of a sudden, it began to rain geese. And the dog's going nuts. He's picking up a goose and throwing it in the thing, picking up a goose. More than a dozen geese are dead. What had happened is, when they started shooting, the geese had begun to do a reverse tornado where they were circling above and climbing, trying to get some altitude. The boy had taken Granddad's double barrel 10 gauge, pointed it straight up, and let loose with both barrels, which is why he was in a puddle on the floor. Anyway, it's raining geese. The dog's bringing them in, and there's a 2 goose limit. Okay, 2 people, more than a dozen geese. Oh, this is bad. So they load up and they start heading back to the boat ramp, and there on the boat ramp with his great big old Steiner binoculars is the game warden. Oh, this will be interesting. They pull up there, they beach the boat, and he pulls out and he puts 2 geese over here, and he's still got 11, 12, 14 geese in this pile over here. Game warden comes down and says, "Howdy, howdy." He says, "Can I see your license?" And they pulled out their licenses, and Sgt Mac showed him his military ID. He says, "You from the base up here?" He says, "Yeah, me and the boy thought we'd do a little goose hunting." And the boy's sitting in the boat going, eh, eh. And the game warden, he said, "Okay, the first 3 shots, that was the boy with his 20 gauge, right?" And Sgt Mac says, "Yes, sir, that was correct." And he said, "All right, I saw him miss 3, and you stood up with your 12 gauge there, and you hit 2 birds." He said, "Yes, sir, that's correct." He said, "What in the world went off after that?" And Sgt Mac reaches down and hands the double barrel 10 gauge to the game warden. He says, "Oh my God." He says, "This is black powder." He says, "Yeah, it's Granddad's double 10. It's a heck of a gun." And game warden says, "Yeah, it is." And the boy is still sitting there in the boat going, eh, eh. So the game warden took their licenses. He says, "Well, Sergeant, you and the boys go home. You take all these geese. You hand them out to folks there." And he said, "I don't want to see you all back here anymore. You're done goose hunting for this year." And Sgt Mac said, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your lenience there, sir." And he loaded the boy up and took him in home and had Mom fix him up. And that was pretty much the last time the boy went goose hunting. This is Deacon Parsons saying, love your maker, love your mate, and do what's right because it's right, and devil take the hindmost.